What's up, guys? Josh Lau here with TheCardGuyz, and today we're going to be talking about the newly released, newly spoiled Light Warrior head equipment piece, Warband of Bellona. Now, this is a card that is very, very likely to see a lot of play, and it is a card that is not exactly the easiest to evaluate. The ability is a card that it's an ability that took me quite a while to run through all the situations that could come up with the Sabers and with the Raydn, and I'll kind of walk through where I see this card being used, and whether or not I think this is a card that could push Boltyn into the the middle upper tier of competition. We'll see. All right, first of all, the Warband of Bellona is a 2-block temper light warrior headpiece, and it has a ability for 2 resources, and destroying the Warband of Bellona, it says the next time you attack this turn, you may charge your hero's soul. If a yellow card is charged this way, draw a card, and it has go again. All right, so let's just talk about some of the generalities first, and then I'll talk about Raydn, and then I'll talk about the Sabers combo. All right, so first of all, this is probably the new best in slot, BIS, if you're familiar with like World of Warcraft. This is the new BIS of the head slot for warriors, or for light warriors. Previous competition was Crown of Providence, Arcanite Skullcap. Those were both okay and kind of boring, but in terms of the more specific pieces, Boltyn would run the Halo of Illumination to kickstart the soul generation and also dig a little bit deeper into the deck. And you also saw Helm of the Sharp Eye from time to time as well. Very, very rarely you would see the thing that allowed you to shuffle back your hand. That's really, really old school. But generally you'd see most of the Raydn Boltyns running around with Crown of Providence, and you saw most of the combo Boltyns running around with Halo or Sharp Eye. And this is a card that is more powerful for both strategies, and likely going to be BIS going forward. All right, like I said, this is useful for both Raydn and Centauri Sabers, and I will talk about specific things in a little bit. But before we talk about those, I think it's very, very important to acknowledge that this card can totally be just used for blocking 2 and then blocking 1. This is not like Courage of Bladehold, where you really want to get the activated ability. Whether you're playing Dory or playing Boltyn, you really want the activated ability of Courage of Bladehold. And this is a card that you probably will use the activated ability, but if you really need to stop a breakpoint, you're totally fine throwing this in front of things. The Iron Song Versus is another card with temper as well, so the current loadout for Boltyn is going to involve a lot of temper 2 pieces, and there'll be quite a bit of decision making on when to use the second block for the Soulbound Resolve as well as the Iron Song Versus. All right, let's talk a little bit about each of the styles for Boltyn, and yeah, let's get into some of my thoughts here. All right, so first of all, the lowest hanging fruit is that obviously this bails you out when you don't have a charged starter. So previously you would have to block a lot, or you would just have to, depending on the awkwardness of your hand, sometimes you'd have to pitch multiple cards and play Bolting Blade, or, pitch a card and play Valiant Thrust, or, it was a little bit of a nightmare, especially with the new bannerets. The chance that you drew a hand without a suitable starter, or you drew a hand with a suitable starter, but you didn't have. So the new starters are very, very restrictive in terms of what you can charge. So maybe you drew a Spirit of War, but you didn't draw yellow to charge with it, so not as great. This basically allows you to bail. This bails you out once per game. This allows you to say, you know what, I'm just gonna start with Valiant Thrust. So you can activate the Warband, play Valiant Thrust, put a yellow card into your soul, draw a card, and you're good to go. Valiant Thrust is online, coming in for 7 or 8. This also allows you to... So one of the changes from the Dusk Till Dawn set is that you could probably run a higher banneret count now. You could probably going to be running... So obviously you run the Gallantry, the Banneret of Gallantry and the Banneret of Courage. Those are obviously by far the best ones. But I think there is a case to be made for the Salvation. Even the Vigor is probably decent because you have an outlet for your energy with Ironsong Versus. And you know, the on hit of Salvation is pretty decent. Gaining a life is never bad. So this probably could enable Raydn Boltyn to be running, 9, possibly a little bit more bannerets, because, even if you draw a hand with 3 bannerets, you can still do something with it. This also gives Boltyn one of the largest fridges in the game. If you want, you can equip the shield, and you would literally have 3 on the headpiece, 3 on the chest piece, 3 on the arm piece, 3 on the shield, and you would either be running Dynamos or Radiant Flow on the boots, so you would have, a ton of armor to go about a fatigue strategy if that's what you want to do. Another thing that this card enables is that it allows you to arsenal Bolting Blade. So previously, Bolting Blade was one of the most awkward cards to arsenal, because you would literally have to draw... generally, you'd have to draw like V, and then you'd double charge it, and then you could get the Bolting Blade out, or you'd have to draw a Take Flight and a blue, and then you would, Take Flight into Bolting Blade. Now this allows you to basically arsenal the Bolting Blade. It allows you to play out your... So you would pitch a card to activate the Warband. Then you would use your normal starter, charge a card via the starter, and then charge a card via the Warband. So now you've charged twice. And that allows you to play the Bolting Blade out from the arsenal for free. It also allows you to have a card to follow up with afterwards. So it's quite nice. Bolting Blade was already a card that you basically were running 2 or 3 of in every single build, because it doubles as a popper. But now now you can basically make better use of it, which is nice. So one of the things that you need to be very aware of when evaluating the Warband is that there are 2 types of charge cards, or I guess there are 3 types of charge cards for Boltyn, right? So there are the original charge cards from Monarch. So this is Bolt of Courage, Engulfing Light, Take Flight. These are cards that specify that if you've charged this turn, you get this additional effect, right? And then those are those 3. And then there are 2 vanilla charge cards from Monarch. So that's Cross the Line and Express Lightning. So those don't really have an effect, so it doesn't really matter. The new Dusk Till Dawn cards, such as Glaring Impact, Beckoning Light, Beaming Bravado, Spirit of War, Light the Way, these 5 cards all specify that if a card is charged this way, right? So those cards don't play quite as friendly with the Warband as the original cards from Monarch. So the best 3 cards that work with Warband are the Bolt of Courage, Engulfing Light, and Take Flight, because that's just how it's written. But the other cards should be okay as well. Just you can't quite use them with the Warband. So I guess the best way to sum up the impact of Warband for Raydn Boltyn is that it improves the consistency and smoothness of draws. So what do I mean by smoothness of draws? This means each hand that you draw because there is a outlet in case something goes wrong, you don't really see a 4-card hand that you hate, right? If it, in general, most of Boltyn's deck blocks for 3, so you can obviously block. And if you have a lot of tempo or you really need to make a move immediately, you can use the Warband to do so. Overall, a very, very nice piece. Increases his armor, gives him a get out of jail free card, allows him to deck build in a little bit different way, and it just improves the smoothness and consistency of the deck, which is something that Boltyn was lacking. Overall, a very, very good upgrade for the Raydn Boltyn deck. All right, let's take a look at my thoughts on the Saber's combo with the new Warband. All right, so the Warband in Saber's combo, I think, is the much, much more interesting and in-depth one. And I'm probably going to talk a little bit more in-depth about this one. I'm also going to show you guys with I have my cards set up in front of me right now. I'm going to show you an example of what is possible at the end. So let's talk about this. So the combo deck gets into a lot of weird situations, and as such, it makes evaluating this card extremely difficult if you have not played the combo deck hundreds of times, if not thousands of times, right? So let me talk to you a little bit about what this solves in the Saber combo deck. So first of all, this allows you to combo without a combo starter. So generally running somewhere between 27 and 33 combo starters, but it is very possible for you to draw a hand of Lumina Ascension, Soul Shield, Spirit of Arena, Valiant Thrust. That will happen. I think I calculated or made my deck such that that would happen like about 6% of the time, right? So now you're able to basically combo with Illuminate and Valiant Thrust, and if really you need to, Celestial Cataclysm. Obviously that will drain a significant portion of your soul, but sometimes that's what just needs to be done. So you can activate the Warband, attack with Illuminate, charge a card via the Warband. Preferably it's a yellow. You'll get to draw a card, give it go again with snaps, and go on your merry way. Basically the same thing with Valiant Thrust. Obviously you can give Valiant Thrust go again via your hero ability. And Celestial Cataclysm has natural go again. So this basically allows you to combo with a normal combo starter, or with if you draw one of those awful hands and you have the combo, you can still go, which is nice. It improves some consistency there, because oftentimes if you have to wait one extra turn, it becomes very, very obvious that you have the combo, and that's when they're going to put pressure on you. They're going to, if they've been saving any disruption, that's when they're going to fire it off. Okay, so let me talk to you guys a little bit about how much damage a normal combo does. So a normal combo will deal 30 damage, plus whatever damage the starter deals. Now, one way for you to high roll as Boltyn with the combo is to attack with Bolt of Courage as your starter, and then they'll let it hit, or you beacon a victory it, and then you get to draw an extra card. And if that extra card you draw is a Lumina, a Beacon, or an Oath of Victory, you basically win the game. If it is a card like Celestial Cataclysm, you get to add some extra burst to your combo. If it's a card like Take Flight, you get to guarantee a great arsenal card. If it's, if it's any middling attack, you can also, just play it for burst. If you don't have your Snapdragons, if you do have your Snapdragons, you might want to arsenal it, depending on what it is. But basically, this turns your normal combo into a Bolt of Courage combo, which allows you to high roll people with, the Lumina Go Boomina combo. So let me walk you through that. So because you are drawing a card, assuming you are charging a yellow card, you have one extra look at the deck, basically. So assuming you're running, 3 Luminous, 3 Beacons, and 3 Oath of Steels, somewhere between, 5 to 7 of those cards will be hits in your deck. So if you draw one of those 5 to 7 copies, the game basically ends, because a triple Lumina combo or a double Lumina combo with Oath of Steel basically kills everybody. So basically, the Warband allows you to turn your Bolt of Courage combo, or turn a normal combo into a Bolt of Courage combo. It turns a Bolt of Courage combo into, double looks at the top of the deck, which is really, really dangerous. In general, this creates a larger burst turn for you, and a larger burst turn allows you to sidestep one of the most common ways that decks deal with the combo, is to just say no blocks. And if you didn't chip them down very much in the beginning of the game, they'll probably be, 8 to 10 life, but they'll be able to keep their whole hand. And from there, the game could get very tricky depending on how much life you've gained, right? A larger burst damage turn basically forces them to block. And anytime our opponents are forced to block, it's really, really good for Boltyn, because most decks are running some level of attack actions. And if they're blocking with non-attack actions, for example, if they're Runeblade, then their hand doesn't really work. And this basically, anytime you can strip cards from your opponent's hand on the combo turn, that's really, really good. That's one of the key factors to victory that I've noticed over playing the deck for a very, very long time. The Warband also allows you to high roll like crazy, and it also doubles as a anti-fatigue pitch stack as well, if you want to set that up. I've been talking a lot in this video in hypotheticals, and I think for a portion of the player base, it's definitely going to be very difficult to visualize what I'm talking about, especially if you're not a Boltyn player. So let me go over what is possible now, and show you guys some gameplay. All right, let's take a look at that now. All right, guys, let's jump into an example here. So I've set up the board here. Let's assume that this Cutie Dory sleeve is the Headband of Bellona. We have our Courage of Bladehold, Gallantry Gold. We obviously have our Sabers. We have a Spirit of Arena in play. We have a Lumina Ascension in Arsenal. And we drop the following hand. We draw a Lumina Ascension, a Via the Vanguard, an Express Lightning, and an Oath of Steel. So let's take a look at what a combo in the past would look like here. So this is actually what I call a 2.5 or 3 combo, because we have our Lumina combo, but we also have a card that gives us a little bit of extra burst. So the optimal way to play this hand would be to play the Express Lightning, charging Via the Vanguard into the Soul. So this would come in for 2 or 3. And then in the reaction step, we would flash in the Lumina Ascensions. We'd resolve the damage. We would play Oath of Steel, break the Courage, break the Gallantry Gold, and we would attack with the Centauri Saber. So each one can attack for 3 times. This Saber would come in for 2 base, plus 1 from the Oath, plus 1 from each Lumina. So this would come in for 5 on the first swing, 6 on the second swing, and 7 on the third swing. And then this one would come in for 5, 6, 7 as well. So that's a total of 36 damage, which is actually pretty good. But let's take a look at what a combo would look like with the Warband of Bellona. So let's rewind it a bit. All right, guys, let's take a look at what the combo would look like with the Headband of Bellona instead of Halo of Illumination. All right, so in this case, we would start by activating the Headband of Bellona. That costs us 2 resources, so we're going to pitch this Express Lightning. We'll have 1 floating. Then we could proceed by activating Courage of Bladehold to make our swords cost 1 less. We would activate Gallantry Gold to give our swords +1. We would play out the Oath of Steel from our hand, giving us +1 counters on each of our attacks. And then we would attack with the Centaur Saber. So when we attack with the Centaur Saber, that's going to trigger the Headband of Bellona. We will decide to put this yellow card into our soul. That'll allow us to draw a card. And look at that. How convenient. It is our third Lumina Ascension. So this is coming in currently for, let's see, we have no float. This is coming in for base 2, 3, 4, 4 or 6. Let's say our opponent doesn't block. We can then flash in the triple Lumina, bumping this to 7. Right? And we could proceed with the combo. So this Saber would literally deal 7, and then 8, and then 9, and then 10. And then this Saber would deal 7, then 8, then 9, then 10. So a total of 68 damage. Much, much higher than the 33 that we had in the previous example. So this is a more extreme version of, obviously, because we drew the Lumina off the top. But if you can draw a Lumina, Beacon, or Oath of Steel and go from 2 combo pieces to 3, you already win the game. If you go from 3 to 4, it's just overkill and you're showing off a bit. But basically, this the new Boltyn with the new headpiece is the Saber combo could get very, very ridiculous, and you could be high rolling people like crazy. We'll see. I'm gonna have to play around with a couple deck builds. But if it all goes well, you will see a deck tech on the channel soon. All right, guys, I think that's going to wrap us up for now. It is always it always brings me a great joy to, to play with my Boltyn cards. And, I think we're going to be seeing some more Boltyn in the future here, especially with this new headpiece. All right, guys, Boltyn's back, baby. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.